For Cybercrime Radio, I'm Amanda Glassner, Deputy Editor at Cybercrime Magazine. Joining me today is Heather Engel, Managing Partner at Strategic Cyber Partners. Welcome back, Heather.
Hi, Amanda. Thanks for having me.
According to The Independent, security researchers have uncovered what they believe to be the first ever instance of an artificial intelligence agent executing a cyber attack from start to finish without human assistance. Heather, these findings, at least at the time of our recording, are yet to be independently verified, but can you take us through what happened?
Sure. So this is a report from The Independent, and as you said, it's still awaiting independent verification. But essentially, security researchers watched an AI agent conduct an end-to-end cyber attack completely on its own. This wasn't someone behind the keyboard using AI as a tool to write malware. The agent was given a target, identified vulnerabilities, chose its own methods, and deployed the attack with zero human intervention from start to finish. So essentially, the AI was acting as its own threat actor, which really pushes us into a new territory for cybersecurity.
Yeah, it's very, very horror movie-esque.
Yeah, yeah.
For me, the most alarming part of the report is that when the AI's initial code failed, it didn't crash or just blindly start retrying, but it actually read the error log, debugged itself, rewrote the code, and redeployed a successful payload in only 30 seconds. Could a human security team possibly move fast enough to stop this, or do you think we are at the point where we need AI to fight AI?
Yeah, you absolutely need AI to fight AI, unfortunately. A human team cannot compete with a 31-second iteration cycle. And if you've ever seen someone who is an AI expert work on developing apps and coding apps, you'll see that even the really seasoned programmers are going back to AI and feeding it errors and saying, hey, tell me why this isn't working. Explain this error to me. And so the AI training is trained on the things that humans know. It just executes them faster. And so we are at least at the point and potentially past the point where I think human in the loop defense is viable for real-time mitigation. You have to have this machine speed defense. The AI's first attempt failed in the time it takes someone to read the error log and open a ticket. The AI had already analyzed the error, debugged its own code, re-architected the payload, and successfully deployed another wave.
Yeah. And since this AI agent destroyed the encryption key by accident, paying a ransom to get the data back wasn't even an option, which I think
Right.
brings things to a whole new level. So, if future AI attacks cause this type of destruction rather than just, standard financial extortion, how can companies even start to plan for survival beyond this point?
Yeah, this is something, and we work a lot in the risk analysis space, but this is something that you absolutely have to consider this. However you feel about AI, whatever you feel about data center construction and things like that, if you are a risk officer, you have to look at this. We have seen this with ransomware attacks of late where the data is destroyed, but then the ransomware negotiation is for the encryption key or we'll get you your data back. We destroyed it. Can you recover it? And so I think we have to go back to some of those original business continuity and resiliency planning techniques where rather than shifting from this, we prevent it. And if we can't prevent it, we negotiate. We have to get into a more resilient mindset. And that involves things like air-gapped backups. So we have backups that are offline, using your infrastructure as a code. So we need to have the ability to wipe our environment and redeploy the digital infrastructure. How long can we survive as a business while we're doing that? And these are all questions, we look at recovery point objectives, we look at recovery time objectives known as RPO and RTO. These are all things that in some ways we're talking about how AI is sort of ruling the world, but we as humans have to go back to the basics when we're doing some of this planning. And again, that recovery point objective really helps a company to clarify and understand what amount of data they're willing to lose. Can they lose hours? Can they lose days? And it's not going to be the same for every system within an environment. That's why we create these priority lists of more important versus less important, because a recovery at this point might mean rolling back to a clean slate. So in the worst case scenario, how far back can you afford to go?
Yeah, that's a great point there, Heather. And I think something too, for me, I feel like a lot of conversations are very like going back to the basics isn't going to work for us. But I think as we see technology evolve, it becomes more compelling to go back to the basics.
Yeah, and when I say that, I don't mean go back to like a non-AI system because when you're online, you're dealing with AI. It's a part of the environment, whether you have it actively in your environment or not, right? We've talked in other Talking Cyber episodes about AI attacks and different types of defense. But when I say go back to the basics, I mean, these are the things that we know from a business continuity planning perspective. We have to sit down and we map out what are our critical business operations? What is the resiliency that we need on those things? And then from there, we can use these tools, right? We can use some of the AI tools to help us with that. But you have to understand what it is that keeps your business running and how long you can be without it.
Yeah, the foundation definitely matters.
Yeah.
Thank you, Heather. I'm looking forward to catching up again next week.
Thanks for having me.
For Cybercrime Radio, I'm Amanda Glassner, Deputy Editor at Cybercrime Magazine. To hear more about this story and others, visit cybercrimewire.com. And for more of our media, visit our website at cybersecurityventures.com.